It's your favourite Fallout 3 character here, Dog Meat, ready to talk about this new George Ezra album. Staying at Tamara's. There was this really annoying girl called Tamara in my year at school, so I kind of feel instantly negative towards this album, but the music on here actually isn't that bad at all. I just feel like it doesn't really fill me with anything. Like, I'm not feeling much when I'm listening to this, even though a lot of the songs are quite passionately delivered. A lot of the songs are quite deep in the emotional content that George Ezra is sort of pouring into the music. I just feel like there's something missing. A lot of the songs are brimming with various different genres and different sounds in them. You've got a bit of folk in here. You got a bit of alternative rock, indie rock, piano ballads, country. It's all there and it's all delivered in a very consistent sound. It never feels like everything's out of place. You know, you've got all these different sounds on the album, but it feels quite concise. George Ezra, however, isn't really adding too much to these styles of music. I feel like if you're a casual listener and you enjoy these sounds, you're probably gonna like this album for what it is. Like, I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, he's doing this well. But, you know, when you've heard it a lot before, you're kind of just left thinking, well, I could just go and listen to something else that sounds similar to this and get more from it. The opening track is very Frank Turner-esque with that delivery on the chorus where it becomes very anthemic, it becomes very chanty, sort of like a drunken chant that you're just sort of there swaying around in the pub and everyone's just kind of feeling the moment. It's that kind of chorus and very much reminds me of what Frank Turner's done on his previous stuff, like on the album England Keep My Bones. We have the track Shotgun coming a few tracks later, which has got a really good drum beat to it. Very accessible, very catchy. I'll be riding shotgun. George Ezra's baritone delivery fits this track the most, I think. Some points on this album I feel like he's stretching too far to sort of change up his sound and his voice, but it doesn't always go over that well. Especially on the piano ballads on this album. There are a few towards the end that really don't leave me feeling much at all. Especially that last one where his voice is quite high. He goes, no one else is such a beautiful thing. Not only is it incredibly sappy, but it's just so typical. Like, every fucking singer-songwriter album has to end on this kind of ballad. Like, I remember ranting about this not too long ago on Twitter. Like, I just feel like any band out there, if you're an artist, just try and do something different for your last song, okay? Or at least throw in the piano ballad somewhere else in the album, you know? Why does it have to be the closing track? Only a Human comes right before that, and it's at this point of the album where I'm just not ready to keep going. Like, I'm ready to turn it off. I just don't really want this anymore. And especially on Only a Human, it's literally the same chorus as Human by Rag and Bone Man. You know, I'm only human after all, so don't put the blame on me. It's not worded that exact same way, but the message is exactly the same. It's the same sort of message. He just switches up the words. No, you can't blame yourself, you're just human. And it's the exact same issue I had with the song Human, which was a massive hit. And it's that whole idea of putting the blame on something else and taking it away from you, as if there is no way you can take responsibility for someone just because you're human. I don't really agree with that sentiment at all. Like, you can sometimes just own up to a mistake and be like, hey, you know, I did this, I did it wrong. Yes, I am a human, but I did this wrong, so I'm going to take the blame. But yet this idea of not taking the blame, it just really annoys me. I don't like that sentiment. We do get a track featuring First Aid Kit, which I was looking forward to because you know how much I loved that First Aid Kit album when it dropped, and I still really think it's one of the albums of the year for me. But they're just background vocals. They're literally just background vocals. They're just there harmonizing in the background. Like, it's just such a letdown of a song. I mean, it sounds nice, I guess, but you know, when you see a feature and you want something more, you want more than just a half-assed country ballad with a well-known act in the background. You kind of want them being the the prominent force, or at least a bit more than just backup singing. The single Paradise is actually pretty good. At first I was like, I don't know what it is with this song. Like, maybe it was the chorus, it was a bit too repetitive. Maybe it was George Ezra's sort of delivery on the verses, like, I don't, It's like, dude, you're not Barry White, we can calm down a little bit. But then there are these, like, backing vocals that, like, scream in the background on the verses as well that annoyed me a bit. But overall, since I've listened to this album bunch of times, I do think the track is actually quite good. And then when you look at the charts right now, you kind of think it's pretty much the only good song in the top 10, so I'm kind of okay with that. Fucking hell. And I'm talking about the UK charts, obviously, because UK charts are just dead. Like, I swear no one cares about the charts anymore, seriously. But yeah, I'm not really offended by this song. It actually opens up, and the drum beat reminds me so much of Vampire Weekend. I totally would see this fitting, this kind of instrumental anyway, like the opening part of the song, fitting on Modern Vampires of the City. Totally inspired by that, I think. Yes, the track overall is pretty good. I like this song. So yeah, I mean, when this album does do these sounds well and it isn't just bland piano ballads, I think there is some depth to it. I do kind of like George Ezra's vocals. I just think it's more for people that might casually like these genres. If you're big on these genres, folk, country, indie rock, alternative rock, then you're going to listen to this and think it's not really doing much for you. And that's what I think it does for me. It just doesn't add much to what I'm already wanting to hear with music. But overall, it's kind of okay. But too many tracks drag it down, so I'm going to have to say it's a D+. His best song is still Budapest. I think the sound of that song is incredibly unique. Like, seriously, the fact that that song was, like, in the top 5 for ages in the UK really made no sense. Like, it was just not a song that would usually get to be a hit, but I think it had such a cool sound to it. Like, he's not going to be able to top a song like that, even if Paradise is a decent track too. But yeah, overall, kind of met on this album. Let me know your thoughts if you've heard it. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews, please. Have a good day.